We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. I want it, love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what to say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yeah, it's what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like a chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. You know what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. To find the keys, the keys.
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixers cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the night, holding on for life. Holding on for life, feeding the high, chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get off you. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the night, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night. Chasing the night.
We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. I wanted, love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name's Paul Jeffrey and you are on YouTube. Congratulations for finding your way to us. This is the RCI ICGT Silver Series, Round 5 from the legendary, the wonderful, the beautiful, the glorious Suzuka International Circuit in Japan. As I say, this is the 5th round of what has been a fantastic championship for the Silver Series teams, drivers and cars. We've got an incredible fight between Martin Ulrich and Michael Wagner at the top of the championship standings. Ulrich currently sits on 184 points in his Lexus RCI GT3 machine, followed by Wagner in the Porsche 911 on 173, with just a single point separating Wagner and the in-form, the man of the moment, Daniel Wurzberger, in his beautiful Castrol-liveried Honda NSX Evo. Martin Schumacher rounds out the top 4 on 164 points, just ahead of the ever-unlucky Aston Martin driver Mark Whitford on 159, with Marcus Raid on 151. 10 points in arrears. In 7th position is the man who likes to make a pit stop early and fight through the field, Stefan Zero in the Lexus. Just ahead of Leiber Vodikic in the Ferrari, the fastest, the highest standing, should I say, of the Ferraris, in 8th with 132 points to his name. Mollier is 9th and Sebastian Raves round out the top 10 in a brace of Aston Martins on 125 and 120 points respectively. Now, I can carry on going down the list, but the eagle-eyed, the astute of you will have noticed we've got 18 cars from the original 42 that started this championship taking part in the final round of the series. So, 1 or 2 of the big names from the championship fight are not with us. We had a couple of no-shows last time as well, and that's really closed up the standings at the top of the table. So, with everything to go for, who of the championship challengers do we have in the field? Marcus Raid is present as the one of the top, I believe. I'll have a quick look down the running order now. A 6th position in the championship standings. Raid was quickest in free practice. We're going to be flowing over to qualification very shortly, ahead of the 60-minute race that will mark the final round of this IGCT Silver Series. Anybody who's new to RCI and RCI TV on YouTube, thank you for joining in. Welcome to you all. Please do give us a like and a subscribe. That would be wicked. And also, the astute of you will notice the American tones of my good friend, Mr. Jesse Lee, are missing from today's broadcast. So I'm flying solo. Jesse, unfortunately, has other commitments and can't join us today. And I anticipate, I hope, this is going to be an absolutely incredible race. So real shame to see Jesse, unfortunately, not able to take part. So my dulcet tones will entertain, inform, and more likely than not annoy you for the next 60 minutes of the race and 15 minutes of qualification. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show, this is the Silver Series and we're racing at Suzuka. It's the international circuit. It's in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and this is a difficult track. It's a difficult driver's circuit. There's a lot of high-speed sections. There's a lot of downforce dependent sections, making it incredibly difficult in the GT3 car to find an opportunity to overtake your rivals. As such, with the pace of the field and the racecraft from the field that we've seen in the preceding 4 races up to this point, overtaking is going to be at an absolute premium, which means qualification. The session that we're in now, the next 14 minutes and change, are going to be vital to the chances of our drivers scoring a big result and hopefully for them taking away the IGTC Silver Series Championship for this season. Now, what's the plan of attack? Are you going to go all out immediately at the start of the session? Do you put full fuel in, run to the checker, or are our drivers going to change tyres? Are they going to come out a little bit later on in the session when the traffic's cleared? Are they going to look for a low fuel run? All these questions we'll be answering in the next 13 and a half minutes. And Martin Ulrich, Michael Wagner, Daniel Wurzberger, Martin Schumacher, Mark Whitford, Marcus Raid and Stefan Zero, that's how close it is, folks, are all the drivers. They're going to be wanting to push in this session. Get to the front of the field. Don't get delayed in traffic. We've seen it before in many forms of virtual and real motorsport. You start further down the order, you're in the danger zone. At Suzuka, you've got to take risks to overtake. You've got to take it to the car ahead of you, and that puts you in a dangerous position. These are only 60-minute races. You do have to make a mandatory pit stop where you've got to apply at least a litre of fuel to make it a registered and accepted pit stop during the race. So opportunities to find a way past naturally or through strategy are limited for these drivers, so onus on lap time. The man that we're watching now, Mark Whitford, we're flicking to Michael Wagner actually, the beautiful Porsche, the number 18 Porsche that you see on your screen now. Wagner, second in the championship, 11 points behind Martin Ullrich. Recently, we've not seen as much pace from Ullrich and the Lexus as we would have expected. In the last couple of rounds, he's still been scoring big points, he's showing consistency, but doesn't have, hasn't, should I say, let's do the man a favour here, not an injustice, hasn't had the overall pace of the race leaders. That man has been Daniel Wurzberger in the Honda NSX, who's been on incredible form this season. 2 fastest laps, 2 pole positions, 2 race wins, 2 podiums. Wurzberger sits 12 points, how'd you like that for fast maths? 12 points behind Ullrich in the championship lead. Realistically, these 3 are our point men. These 3 are our drivers, Ullrich, Wagner, Wurzberger, who are in the prime seats to take a race victory. Martin Schumacher in the BMW is another 8 points adrift of that fight. Still got a chance, still mathematically possible to get in there, but it's going to be a big ask. He's going to have to get a big result, and Schumacher is a man that is absolutely drenched in misfortune this season. Schumacher needs a win. He needs other people to have a bad race. Suzuka, that's entirely possible. We'll find out in another 11 minutes and change exactly how that pans out. But let's throw ourselves into qualification. Wagner trying to find a little bit of space on the racetrack, another critical element for this circuit. A slipstream is always a good thing. There's a lot of downforce dependent corners. Get too close, and I feel Wagner is a little bit too close to Whitford's Aston Martin. You're going to lose aerodynamics in the all-important Sector 1. The first corner, incredibly high speed. Drop it down from 6th gear into 5th for the first apex. Down into 4th for the second apex. Keep the inside line. Let's see how Whitford gets on here. No, makes a complete hash of it. Decides to throw out. 10 minutes left on the clock. Back to pit lane. Get some fresh boots on. Give it another go. Marco Ripper currently in the BMW. You're not going to miss that one. It's Black and Dayglow. You can't miss Ripper's BMW on a hot lap in the Go racing machine at this moment in time. Whitford is our provisional pole sitter. Just been overtaken by Stefan Zero, 159.961, fastest driver of the day. Let's have a look how Ripper performs in comparison to Zero's Lexus. Good news to see a Lexus at the front of the field, a very compliant car, useful around this beautiful Japanese venue. Ripper crosses the line and does not set a time, so must have had an off-track penalty at some stage, or maybe it was an outlap actually, as Ripper continues to push through that first sector we were talking about before. The BMW, a massive machine, but really good on turning, corner entry, really holds the body roll despite the size of the car well, and that's important through this snake section that we're in now. This is a section of corners. You get the opening wrong, you'll carry that mistake through the following 4-5 turns. That's going to cost you lap time. Marco Ripper looking very neat, very composed so far in the BMW. Zero still remains on the provisional pole position. Championship update, he's 7th in the standings on 141 points, so 43 away from Ullrich at the top of the field. Marco Ripper, he's a man that's also a little bit further down the running order than he would ideally like. We've seen pace from him so far this season, but he's never quite managed to put it all together. He won the opening 2 rounds of the championship, and then things have gone a little bit quiet for Marco Ripper since then. Is this an opportunity to lay a marker down for his rivals, to set in stone a championship challenge for an upcoming season? I fear it's a little bit too late for the driver now to put a marker in for the championship, but as we've said before, Jesse and I, when commentating on previous races, even if this result's not the one that you need, you want to lay a marker down. You want to put one over your rivals. Show that you're someone to be contending with, somebody that they need to have in the back of their mind. Ripper really quick through 130R, coming down into the Fiddler chicane, very easy to run wide. It's plenty of curve on the inside of both sections of the corner, something the BMW absolutely soaks up curves like a GT4 machine. Ripper looking to lay down his first time. Can he close in on Stefan Zero's provisional pole position? No, Ripper 4th place, half a second away from zero, second part of the second row, just behind Wurzburger, who's managed to close the gap, currently in pit road, to 1.68 tenths of a second. Mark Whitford, 3rd place, the front of the second row of the grid, in 3rd with 4 tenths in arrears. Ripper, who we've just seen, started currently on a provisional 4th place. Marcus Raid, the man that we're looking at now in the glorious Aston Martin. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a bit of an Aston Martin fancier. It's just a wonderful, wonderful car. The AMR Vantage, V8 Vantage, GT3. Raid currently 5th position. He needs to find almost 6 tenths of a second. But with the exception of Whitford and our provisional pole sitter, Stefan Zero, only one of the top 7 drivers currently out on the circuit. Can Raid do anything now? The Aston not quite as pokey in a straight line as would be ideal at this circuit. Of course, the drivers that we're racing in the IGCT Silver Series are allowed to modify and change the setup of their cars. So again, you're going to be looking for, do you have a qualifying set? Do you have something that burns your tyres out? It's not as stable to drive, but it's good for the ultimate lap time. And then a more conservative approach, a little bit too much curb on the exit of the chicane. Look at the difference between the Aston Martin and the BMW riding over those curves. The Aston Martin, much less comfortable. That's going to cost Marcus Raid lap time, but still second position, 1.5 tenths of a second away from Stefan Zero. If that final chicane would have been a little bit neater, that potentially could have been the provisional pole, but Zero comes across the line now and extends his lead to 3.5 tenths of a second. Stefan Zero, very much the man in form in the final 6 minutes of qualification. Mark Whitford, does he have an answer to the cars ahead of him? Currently 4th on the grid, 6 tenths of a second away from the ultimate pace. Will Whitford, in a fella Aston Martin FF Racing number 86, manage to improve his time? He does, but he doesn't move up the order. 4th place, 5.85 tenths of a second away from Stefan Zero, who's our provisional pole sitter, sat in pit lane. Whitford still on the absolute edge of what this Aston Martin can do. He's put fuel in, he's confident in his tyres, he's had a winding up lap, he knows what he's doing, he knows where he's leaving lap time on the table. Can Mark Whitford do something about this qualification to get his first pole position of the IGCT Silver Series here at RCI TV? I hope you guys and girls at home are enjoying this broadcast. Give us a like on RCI TV. I forgot who we were then. Give us a like on RCI TV and a subscribe on YouTube. That would mean the world to us. We're on Twitch as well. Check us out on there. We've got racing most days of the week in a variety of different skill sets and experiences, all in the beautiful Assetto Corsa Competizione. Michael Wagner in the Porsche now, number 18, currently 9th place, a surprising amount of distance away from provisional pole, 1.2 seconds. He's winding up for a fast lap. The times are not set in stone, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 4.5 minutes left on the clock. The racetrack's getting faster. It's only 3:10 p.m. in the afternoon. There is ample opportunity for our drivers to get out there and improve their position. We said at the top of the show, qualification is going to be critical. Look, 10th place, Martin Ulrich, 1.3 tenths of a second away from provisional pole. He is our championship leader. Ulrich needs to find lap time. But funnily enough, Wagner, his main rival for the championship, only 9 points away. It's only one place up the grid. We're looking at Wagner now. This is critical for Michael Wagner. He needs to set a good lap time. He needs to improve his position, put some clean air between himself and Ulrich. We have seen Ulrich as a quick starter, he's a consistent driver, he's a machine, makes no mistakes, never drops the ball. Ulrich might not have the qualification pace, but you can be certain that he is going to be in the contention for a top 5 position come the checkered flag barring disaster. Wagner needs to minimise his risk now. He needs to absolutely lay everything down on the line. He's got this, and if there's enough fuel in that Porsche, another lap inside him to try and improve lap time. Stefan Zero remains on provisional pole. Marcus Raid remains on the outside of the front row, but can Michael Wagner do anything about closing that 1.2 second deficit to the qualification leaders? We will find out just a few moments through 13 at 130R. Nice and neat, not using too much runoff area, watching his braking zone. Look how he uses the curbs. Much less curved than the BMW of Schumacher we saw earlier. But that's a very neat corner exit, maximising the width of the road, running it, run to the left-hand side of the racetrack, lining himself up for the next lap. Michael Wagner currently 10th position. Can he improve his lap time? Yes, he can. 5th place, 6 tenths of a second. Found almost a second on that lap. Great time by Wagner. There's enough time on the clock to put 1, maybe even 2 more laps in. So Wagner, 5th position. That Ulrich, meanwhile, has dropped to 11th. That is exactly what Michael Wagner needed to do. Needed to put space between him. Meanwhile, Marcus Raid, 3.5 tenths away from provisional pole. Can the Ferrari, the Aston Martin even, Paul? Come on, what's wrong with you? Can the Aston Martin driver do enough to close down Stefan Zero? The man of the moment, Stefan Zero. He's out on the racetrack trying to put that pole position further away from the chasing pack. Marcus Raid has got 1 lap and another, and then his chances of getting a great slipstream from the Ferrari ahead. Bit far enough away that's not going to affect him through 130R. The Ferrari hopefully get his skates on so it doesn't hold him up into the chicane. Let's watch the Aston Martin. Plenty of curve on the first part of the chicane and the second one. Maybe pushes him a little bit wide, a little bit of leaving some black lines on the racetrack under throttle. Will Raid improve on his time? He was scruffy last time across the line. Can he improve now? Yes, 5 thousandths of a second away from provisional pole. An outstanding lap from Marcus Raid, but not enough to get that provisional pole position. He's got 1 more throw of the dice. Can the GT Series Aston Martin driver do enough to get Stefan Zero off that provisional pole position? And more to the point, can Stefan Zero find even more lap time in the Lexus to put this qualification beyond doubt for the Lexus RCF driver? We will find out, ladies and gentlemen, in 52 seconds and change as we stick with Marcus Raid now on the second lap. The Ferrari still ahead of him, hopefully won't hold him up. Mark Whitford, another driver, 5th position in the championship standings, 5th position in the provisional qualifying order. Fellow Aston Martin driver, very striking livery there in the number 86 machine. Again, nice and clean through 130R. Hard on the brakes near the chicane, dropping in the second gear. Plenty of inside curve, a little bit squirrely on middle of the corner, sorry, but a much neater exit than Marcus Raid managed last time around. Whitford, 5.85 tenths of a second away from the provisional pole. Can he close it down? Yes, he can. Mark Whitford, pole position by 1 thousandth of a second. That is an incredible effort for Mark Whitford. What a fabulous result. This could be his very first pole position, but the man on form this series so far in the last couple of races, Daniel Wurzberger in the Honda. Will he do anything about it? No, he can't. 4th position, 2 tenths of a second, and that is Wurzberger's qualification session over and done. Whitford, Zero and Raid still on hot laps. Ripper in 5th place, the man we're looking at now in the BMW. Can Ripper do anything about this? This is his final throw of the dice, the last hurrah, the final qualification of the IGTC Silver Series here at RCI International, Race Club International. Follow us on social media, follow us on Twitter and YouTube. You think this is good? You ain't seen nothing yet. The racing is daily and is incredible. Mark Ripper doesn't care about any of this though. Can Ripper get himself further up the field? He's on the outside of the 3rd row. Not high enough to be able to throw the dice come race day, I fear. So Ripper needs to do everything he can. Look at the BMW, monstering those curves, the suspension, taking it up like it's going out of fashion. Ripper needs to find almost 5 tenths of a second. Can he dispose Whitford of his first pole position of the series? We'll find out in a few seconds' time. Marco Ripper crosses the line in 4th place, outside of row 2, disposes Wurzberger in 5th. So, Whitford, provisional pole, Zero still on a fast lap as well. The 2 top drivers in this qualification are the 2 men absolutely pushing the final throw of the dice. Look at Whitford now coming into the famous chicane where Ayrton Senna and Alan Prost came and blows. Whitford a little bit late on the brakes, runs wide, gets the car on a power oversteer corner exit. That I fear, unless the first 2 sectors have been legendary. No, they have not. Whitford parks the car. He knows he's done everything he can. Stefan Zero now has also crossed the line and got the checkered flag. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been a pretty exciting qualification. Mark Whitford is your pole sitter for the first time this season with a 1 minute 59.7. Stefan 0 second, Marcus Raid third, Marco Ripper in fourth position, rounding out the front 2 rows of the grid. Daniel Wurzberger upholding honours for Honda at the Suzuka International Circuit in Japan is 5th. Gator in 6th position. Ulrich, our championship leader, missed that on camera, to apologise, has managed to sneak into 7th place. He can do some damage from there. Wagner 8th, Engman 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is Roscek in the Aston Martin. Van Krausen 11th, Keller 12th, Mollier 13th, Kinsler P14 in 15, Rabes, Vodikic in 16th, Coombs P17, and rounding out our 18 car grid is Sade in the unwieldy Lamborghini 18th. Wow, take a breath a moment, everybody. You've got 4 minutes to go and make a cup of tea, have a comfort break, get your favourite munchies of choice. This final race of the IGTC Silver Series is going to be fantastic. Now, while we've got a moment, let's have a look at the championship order and see where things are. Unfortunately, I've not got a co-commentator with me today to do all the difficult math stuff, so I'm going to try and do the shouty bits and the thinky bits all at the same time. This could be bad. Whitford, pole position, sits 5th in the championship order on 159 points. Stefan 0, a man blessed with bad luck, is 7th in the championship order with 141. Marcus Raid, 6th in the championship order, 3rd on the grid. Ripper currently sits in 11th, so he's the outlier in the championship, a little bit too far away to affect the championship final standings, but can certainly improve his position. Ripper currently sits at 119 points. Gader is one of the drivers that is not featuring very highly at all. Tobias Gader, 24th in the championship. He's had a no-show, he's had a sign-out, but Gader currently 24th in the championship. All he's got to do is find a good performance and have himself a good race. Our championship leader, Martin Ulrich, is 7th on the grid. 8th, Michael Wagner, who's also 2nd in the championship. So they're the two we really need to keep our eye on in this race, see how they perform for overall championship challenges. Engman, now where is Engman on the list? He's that far down, he's not even on my initial screen, so Engman very much out of the running for championship challenging. Roscek as well, Van Krausen, Keller, Mollier, Kinsler, Rabes, Vedika, Coombs and Sade. So, Ulrich, Wagner, Wurzberger, Schumacher. They're big names for championship. Schumacher, not in this race, so we're not going to see anything of him today, which is a real shame because Martin Schumacher only on 164, so 20 points away from the championship. It's really down to Martin Ulrich, Michael Wagner and Daniel Wurzberger. The best placed of those drivers is Wurzberger in the Honda NSX GT3. We've seen some absolutely incredible performances over the last couple of races from Daniel Wurzberger. If memory serves me correctly, a little bit of contact with the wall at Bathurst last time out put pay to his almost certain attempt at the green flag waving race victory chances. So Wurzberger's got a little bit of a point to prove. And more importantly, he's got 12 points to find over Martin Ulrich, who's 7th on the grid. Wagner, who's 8th on the grid, needs to find 11 points. He's 1 ahead of Daniel Wurzberger. So, thankfully for Muggins here, sat in the commentary box, that's pretty easy maths. Ulrich, Wagner, Wurzberger, they're the ones that matter. Mark Whitford on 159. He showed incredible pace this season, mixed in with a bit of bad luck, always seems to be in the fight for some kind of situation or problem, but he's on pole position. That is the best place to start this race at the Suzuka International Circuit. But he's only on 159 championship points. So he's got 25 points to find. He needs other people to have bad luck. Remember everybody, points go all the way down the running order, so it's imperative to finish to improve your championship position. When this race is over, I'm sure I'm not going to be doing mental maths to work out the championship running order at the end, so visit RCI over on Discord. You'll see all the relevant different races that you can participate and championships and running order as well, and catch us on social media where we'll tell you who finished where, how, when and why. But that's in the future, 60 minutes to be precise in the future. We've got the small matter of getting through the final round, round 5 of the ICGT Silver Series here at RCI. We've got 60 minutes of racing plus a formation lap. We need to make a pit stop. We've got to do some fighting with 18 highly talented, very skillful, very respectful race drivers in premium GT3 machines at what is, for me at the very least, one of the finest racetracks in the world. Before we get into that racing, I just want to say a very quick hello and thank you to Jake Boswell, who's working his magic once again behind the screen, doing the cameras and broadcast. Jake, as always, doing a fantastic job. Just the two of us today. Jesse is unfortunately taken away. Jesse Lee, my fellow commentator in this series, has been taken away in other matters, so can't join us. So myself and Jake will be bringing you all the action of the IGCT Silver Series here from Suzuka. Round 5, the last hurrah, the final attempt, the last 60 minutes of Silver Series action in what has been my personal first series for RCI, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. If you're perusing that there YouTube and haven't seen RCI before, or haven't taken the plunge to come join us for one of our many racing events that we hold on a near daily basis, I implore you to do so. Get over to Racing Club International on Discord, come sign up, become a member, join the massive party that is RCI. We love our sim racing here, we love our Assetto Corsa Competizione, and we would adore to have you with us in a future event. So this time, next week, next month, next year, this could be you on the racetrack, battling out for virtual honours in one of our many different series that we hold here at RCI. But enough of the call to action. We've got plenty of action just about to start here at Suzuka. For those of you that don't know Suzuka, then firstly, shame on you. Secondly, it's a 3.6 mile long Formula 1 circuit in Japan. The premier, some might say, racetrack in Japan. The circuit has held Formula 1 Grand Prix owned by Honda for many years. It also holds motorcycling events and long and short distance endurance series races, as well as, of course, the very famous Super GT Championship, which is the premier GT series of Japan. We're racing the Intercontinental GT Challenge cars of ACC on this track. The drivers have registered as part of the series. It's not a qualification series. The drivers register their interest. They participate in the championship, score points over the course of the duration of the championship, and eventually the idea is, come round 5, where we are today, we crown an overall champion. That overall champion is still up for debate who that might be. We'll find out at the end of this race, but the things that drivers have to get through. We do this warm-up lap, it'll be a rolling start, as is always the case in ACC, 2x2 formation. The drivers will start to line up side by side and will run up to the final chicane. We have to make a pit stop, but there is no pit window, so theoretically you could pit on the first or the last lap. All you have to do is put at least 1 litre of fuel in the car. Some of our drivers may want to run light at the start of the race and then fill up halfway through. They may want to put new tyres on, go for ultimate lap time, or they may just want to minimise their time on pit road. We've seen many different strategies employed during the course of the season, but what matters now is the opening lap. Everybody needs to be calm and sensible. Get through the opening lap. Murray Walker once said, "You don't win the race at the first corner, but you can certainly lose it." Mark Whitford's a man that knows all about first lap incidences. He's had a lot of bad luck so far this season, but he's on pole position. He's in the prime spot, the inside for T1, watching the light gantry, looking at those 4, 5 red lights, waiting for them to go green, keeping the car at the minimum speed limit of 70 kilometres an hour. We've got a green light. There's 18 cars on the grid. Every single one of them is foot flat to the board. The field behind pans out. Everyone looking for a little bit of real estate. Whitford on the inside. Will Zero be able to make it round the outside into the first section? No, he cannot. Whitford keeps the inside line for the corner. Zero runs out of tarmac. The remaining field behind, jockeying for position. Everybody seems to have made it through onto the stake for the very first time in this round 5 of the IGCT Silver Series here from Suzuka. Whitford retains pole position. Stefan Zero tried a valiant effort to take race lead, but has to slot back in to second place. Raid in the Aston Martin holds station in third. Ripper in the black and luminous yellow BMW is in fourth place. The tyres are cold, the pressures are low, the fuel is at its heaviest it will be throughout the course of this race. This is danger zone time for our drivers. The timing stack does its usual dance to try and get itself into position. So far, a very clean opening few corners for the field of the IGCT Silver Series. Whitford needs to make hay while the sun shines. A monumental qualifying effort to get that pole position. He's not given away that advantage to Stefan Zero. It's 7:10 at night. The sun is setting at Suzuka. The circuit will be colder than the drivers have experienced so far. As we go through the spoon section of corners, Whitford runs a little bit wide, manages to keep on the dray stuff. Marco Ripper now is the meat in an Aston Martin and Honda sandwich. Daniel Wurzberger in the Seoul NSX representing for Japan. Here at the Japanese Grand Prix venue has got a beautiful slipstream on the humongous BMW ahead. BMW of Ripper tries to find a way past, no doing at 130R. That is a corner that you cannot overtake unless the car ahead is compliant with that one. Wurzberger filling the mirrors of the big BMW now. Daniel Wurzberger knows he needs to move forward and move forward quickly. He's the current championship challenger, highest up the running order, as we see someone running down pit road, but Marcus Raid on the defensive, willing to look to the inside of Ripper for BMW. No, he will not. Ripper shows his nose, not quite got enough of an overlap into a very small braking zone for such a fast, high-speed corner. Ripper doesn't quite have enough of an overlap to force the Aston Martin wide. Now through the snake section, this is pretty much a one-by-one formation through this part of the racetrack. The downforce of the car behind has been taken away, making turning harder. The car turns in later, you need to apply more lock, that applies more heat to the tyres. That upsets the car, wants to push it wide, a phenomenon we call understeer. The car is wanting to push forwards in a corner when you're wanting to go around the corner. That will slow the BMW down. All things considered, Marco Raid doing a good job to keep up with the Aston Martin ahead. At this moment in time, Ripper looks like he's got more pace. Get a good run off the spoon section of corners, looking to the hairpin. Very tight, short braking zones in a GT3 car. Ripper got the car on the lock stop, got a good run out of the hairpin. Starting to run along the outside. This is the outside of the next section of corners. The BMW very brave to stay there. The track's quite clean, not many marbles. The extra grunt of the BMW is just enough to get him past the Aston Martin. That's a very brave, very dedicated overtaking manoeuvre from Mark Ripper there. Raid not giving up, showing the inside, showing the nose, should I say, sorry, to the inside of the BMW. There is no space. The extra traction off the corner won't be enough to carry Marco Ripper and secure him in third position in the opening 4 minutes. Daniel Wurzberger behind, showing his nose, coming into 130R. It's an incredibly dangerous place to be. Wurzberger very wisely thinks better of it, comes off the throttle, still got a good run through 130R. Look at the inside of the chicane. At the moment, what Wurzberger's doing, he knows that's not a genuine passing opportunity. He's trying to show his nose to the Aston Martin ahead. Scare Raid off the racing line, make him concentrate on his mirrors, make him miss his braking zone, slow the car down so Wurzberger can overtake on acceleration, corner exit. Raid has been around for a while. He's not going to fall for those kind of tricks too easily. But Daniel Wurzberger employing every tactic in the book. He knows he needs to start making hay. He's got Ulrich, the championship leader, and we talked about Martin Ulrich at the start of the show, not quite having the pace in qualification, but always moves forward in the race. Martin Ulrich now is a man on a mission. He sees Wurzberger ahead. Wurzberger is 12 points in arrears in the championship. Ulrich knows he needs to finish ahead of that Honda NSX in front of him. He needs to beat Michael Wagner in the Porsche behind him. If he does that, if he crosses the finish line, takes the checkered flag in front of these two cars, he's guaranteed the Silver Series Championship. Daniel Wurzberger knows that as well, better than anybody. He's no fool, Daniel Wurzberger. He's a man on form at the moment. He'll do everything to keep Ulrich behind him. He has got to finish ahead of Martin Ulrich. Realistically, he's got to finish above Rain Ripper, Zero and Whitford as well. And speaking of these two, Mark Whitford under pressure, Stefan Zero round the outside into Spoon Corner, no room there, looks to cut back to the inside. Can he find the undercut into the second part of the corner? It's a double apex left-handed, no he cannot. The Lexus now trying to get a clean corner exit, a good run, getting the slipstream of the Aston Martin. We've already seen the Aston Martin is struggling for straight line top end speed, 130R. There's no way to pass here. Be wise to back off the throttle a little bit, keep the gap, follow the car through 130R. Can he find an opportunity into the chicane? Stefan Zero, Mark Whitford ahead, runs a little bit wide on corner exit, but it's not enough to open the door for Stefan Zero. Zero gets a really clean run through the chicane. This is his best opportunity, separated by less than a car length. Stefan Zero in the Lexus, chucking up firmly into the slipstream of Aston Martin ahead. He'll be filling the mirrors, the lights will flashing on the dashboard of the car in front. Zero goes to the inside, not enough in a short braking zone into T1. T2, no overtaking there, it's only a minor deceleration zone. A couple of drivers have run down pit road. Mark Whitford now into the snake, provided he keeps the car clean, provided he stays on the racing line and manages his braking zones. Braking point, should I say, sorry. Mark Whitford is safe for another quarter of a lap. It's a very one-by-one formation, part of the racetrack. Great experience in the cockpit of a racing car, a fabulous place to push a car to its limits, but not a section of racetrack where realistically cars can run too wide alongside each other. Mark Whitford knows this one. He knows he's not got the pace at this stage of the motor race to pull out a gap of Stefan Zero ahead of him. So what he needs to do now is keep it clean, keep it sensible, don't run wide, don't miss your apex, don't miss your braking zone, keep everything neat, concentrate on corner exit, which he doesn't at the hairpin, runs a little bit deep in the hairpin, that compromising on corner exit. Zero is going to see this, he's going to take heart from this. He knows Whitford is a man under pressure. All Zero's got to do is watch what Whitford does and do it a little bit later. Just a yard later on braking, a millimetre earlier on turning, a tenth of a second faster on corner exit. Look at the Aston Martin squirming on throttle. The Lexus, a car that's known for its compliance, known for its neutral handling characteristics, has got the edge over this Aston Martin at this stage in the race, but it's faster, as we've seen so many times this year. The car behind is faster in all the wrong parts of the racetrack. There's nowhere to overtake at this stage of the race. Mark Whitford knows this as well. Will have raced many times at the, I can nearly call it Laguna Seca, but it's not at all, at the Suzuka International Circuit. He'll know where he's safe, where he's vulnerable, and this is a part of the track where he's very vulnerable indeed. The Lexus has got more ponies under the hood. It is faster with the aid of the slipstream in a straight line, but the braking zone is so minor into T1 that Zero cannot do enough about the Aston Martin ahead. Now we throw into the equation, are we going to be looking at pit stop strategies? Will Whitford doesn't appear to have the pace while under pressure, while being chased by Stefan Zero of the following car. Does Zero, we've seen it before, will he run down pit road early? Will he try and play the undercut? He's going to want to run a little bit later in this race for fear of getting caught up in traffic further down the order and repeating the issue that he's got with Mark Whitford at the moment. You stop early, you come out of the traffic will hold you back to the speed that they're going and not the ultimate pace you've got. So it was bad burnt or scolded. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Daniel Wurzberger, another man that we saw as Van Krausen now is on pit road. So Brian Van Krausen decided actually to just exit the race. We're down to 16 cars. We've had 2 retirements. Van Krausen, we've just seen there on pit road, has now left the service. So whether that's technical, mechanical, or he's just thrown the towel in after a bad start to the race. We'll find that out post-race, I'm sure, so follow RCI on social media. But Wurzberger, he's pushed wide into the spoon section of corners. Ulrich following through, went wider, yet still, and that's given, it's afforded Daniel Wurzberger a couple of tenths of a second of breathing space. Doesn't sound like a lot, but in a race like this, on a track like this, every tenth of a second counts. Look how the Lexus is closing down the NSX under slipstream conditions, coming into 130R. The Lexus actually was a little bit too quick in 130, ran a little bit wide. You'll have to be careful. Just like in normal ACC conditions, the drivers are mandated by the game software 3 off-track cut track warnings. On the 4th time, you will be heading down pit road for a time penalty. So Ulrich needs to be mindful of that one. We've got live stewards watching this race as well for any indiscretion. So thank you to everybody that's doing that fantastic and critical job of stewarding these races and giving our drivers an opportunity to have a safe, fair and even playing field for everybody. And Daniel Wurzberger now finding himself in a bit of Max Verstappen land, where he's not quite fast enough to keep up the cars ahead, but he's a little bit too fast for the cars behind. So Wurzberger started to settle into a rhythm. All our drivers starting to settle into a rhythm. Suzuka is a confidence track. More speed can be found from you behind the wheel, but it can be found from hours and hours of setup tuning and tweaking. It's a driving track that rewards bravery, rewards precision, skill, technical competence. And these drivers, it takes 2 or 3 laps to get to that level. When you get there, you stick there. Marco Ripper and man again falling away from the race leader. 2 seconds now deficit between Ripper and second place man Stefan Zero ahead. But he's got a little bit of breathing space from Marcus right behind. So Ripper starting to find his rhythm, thinking about his strategy, thinking about the tyre conservation, thinking about the fuel usage. What does he want to do? Is 3rd place a good result for Marco Ripper? I would suggest it potentially is. He's not in championship challenging positions. He needs a good result to sign off the series. Mark Whitford has got no time to think. Mark Whitford is on the defensive. We see Zero behind, running really wide. 130R. That's compromised his corner exit. He can't do that too many times, or he will be in trouble with the stewards. And that's a shame actually for Zero. What happened there? You know, the downforce taken away from the front of the car. The car didn't turn in as it normally has done for the preceding 5 laps of this race, because the dirty air of the Aston Martin behind is affecting the aerodynamic downforce of the car. By downforce we mean sucking the car to the ground, allowing it to go quickly around the corners. And you're following the car so closely, that reduces your downforce, reduces your ability to get the car to do exactly what you ask it to do. And at those sort of speeds in 130R that we just saw then, that leads to the car pushing on, running wide. Zero would have had to come out the throttle, maybe control a little bit of imbalance, and that put him back and prevented him having an opportunity into T1. But riding on board now with a Lexus, this is the closest we see Stefan Zero at this point, the first sector of the racetrack. So this will be really interesting if we can keep on board now with Zero, see how close he can get into the hairpins. There's a little bit of opposite lock through the second part of the corner, just controls the car. That's lost him a couple of yards to Mark Whitford ahead. But we've seen how good this Lexus is on corner exit out of the hairpin. Seems to be able to get the power down a lot smoother, a lot earlier and a lot quicker. That pays you back in lap time through this incredibly fast section of racetrack. So we're heading down now the back straight. This is coming, we've come out of the hairpin, we're coming into Degner 1 and Degner 2. Whitford still got a track position, but is a man under pressure. Credit where credit's due to Mark Whitford, an incredibly solid, calm performance. But look at the Lexus behind now. Stefan Zero firmly in the slipstream. We saw him run wide last time. He'll have learnt his lesson. He knows what's coming at the 130R. He'll ease off the throttle ever so slightly. Apply more like he's used to. Shows the outside line, puts his nose to the inside for the chicane. Whitford knows what's coming, runs a little bit deep, nothing dramatic. The Aston Martin bounces over the curbs. This Lexus now is really on its tippy toes. It's got all the signs of a driver that's looking to find a way past. Throw it into the mix, but we've got Coombs in the Ferrari, our 16th place and last driver. The number 34 Ferrari is ahead So already 15 minutes in, we're coming to traffic as Whitford runs wide into T2. Whitford runs wide, manages to keep the car pretty much on the grey stuff, but that has opened an opportunity up for Stefan Zero now, who's practically painted to the back of that Aston Martin. Zero would have seen that mistake, would know that Whitford is feeling a little bit hot under the collar, a little bit pressured. The sun's setting, it's getting darker, the lights are on the cars, visibility is reducing, track temperature is reducing, the grip is changing. The track is a living, dynamic thing under these race cars. The balance of the race cars is shifting. The Lexus is good in practically all conditions. Stefan Zero can taste race lead now. The Ferrari getting the wobble on in front very, very soon. That bizarrely coloured Ferrari is going to come into play. Mark Whitford, race leader, will be the first man across. He knows Zero's behind him. He goes defensive. That's going to compromise him. He's already compromised on corner exit compared to the Lexus. Anyway, Zero sees that and thinks, yes, my friend, you keep doing that one. My opportunity to strike is now. Does he have an opportunity into Degner? Looks to the outside, makes Whitford defend. We'll get on the brakes early. We'll switch it to the inside for the second Degner. If there is space, which there is not, Mark Whitford knows what's happening. Defends the racing line. Concentrates on a clean corner exit. Stefan Zero getting a little bit ragged now. He can feel that this is his opportunity into 130R. Whitford going a little bit defensive down the straight, just discouraging Stefan Zero from showing a nose at the inside. A little bit late turning from Whitford as well, but actually keeps the car nice and stable. Zero showing his nose at the outside of the chicane. That's more to make Whitford defend in the hope it runs deep, which he does. Whitford runs deep. Zero a lot neater on corner exit. It's now as close as it's ever been. Coming through the final kink onto start finish straight. Stefan Zero has the slipstream, has the pace advantage. Whitford knows this. Goes to the inside. A little bit of a jink towards Stefan Zero to discourage him on the brakes into the first corner. Zero stays around the outside. Very brave manoeuvre onto the AstroTurf. Runs out his racetrack. Fair but robust from Mark Whitford. Both of these drivers want this race lead. Both of these drivers want to win the final round of the IGTC Silver Series. Both of these drivers giving absolutely nothing to each other in the fight for this race victory. Meanwhile, Marcus ready to see what's happening 2.6 seconds further down the field and thinks, yes, you two keep this up, I will start doing my own business and slowly but surely closing up. Can you believe we haven't even had 20 minutes of this 60-minute race as Wagner is down pit road, as is Sadi. Wagner now again, to remind everybody at home, is second in the championship challenge. Wagner goes for a relatively early pit stop in the Porsche, comes out on track in 12th position. So Wagner, second place in the standings, 12th position. Ulrich, championship leader, 5th position. Wurzberger in third, a further point adrift in 4th position. Split strategies, adding yet more excitement to what is already an incredible season finale. Stefan Zero looks at the inside again. Not a realistic overtaking opportunity, but it's just to give Whitford something to think about. Showing excellent corner exit in the Lexus RCF, whatever it is, I can't remember. It's Lexus. Seeing good corner exits, good off the corners. Gets that extra few kilometres an hour straight line speed. Coming into 130R, that would be brave to try and move there, but again, just shows his nose, give Whitford something to do. There's an incredibly fast corner. Now the Ferrari coming into place. There's a lap Ferrari there, and look how Raid is closing that gap down. 0.6 of a second he's made on this lap. Whitford under significant pressure. The Lexus behind, monstering the curve. Now I can see Stefan Zero really thinks these are his opportunity. The Ferrari's clocking. He'll be receiving the blue flags. Whitford flashing the lights, letting him know he's there. Oh, that's very excellent. Whitford goes very late on the defensive. Stefan Zero trying to show his nose. Very rudely found that door firmly closed in his face. I was too busy watching the Ferrari. I think Mark Whitford maybe was the same, and Stefan Zero sensed an opportunity to pounce. Wasn't quite open for him there into the snake section of corners. This is the worst time to catch this back marker. There's really no opportunity unless you get totally out of the throttle. The back marker will not want to be doing that. Coombs has got a 5-second penalty. Very respectful there. Great driving. Runs very, very wide. Completely off the racing line. Allows the leaders clear passage through to continue what has been an incredible fight so far in the first 20 minutes of this race. Meanwhile, Marcus Raid has pulled out seconds on the cars ahead of him. The 2-car fight is turning into a 3-car fight, and Daniel Wurzberger is not further behind himself. So this could be very, very soon a 4-car fight. Keller, Kunz, both receiving penalties. Kunz already talked about 5 seconds. Keller in the sister Ferrari, P15 on the grid, has got a 15-second penalty attached to his race time. Not quite sure why that is. We find that, I will let you know. But meanwhile, the top 2 is very, very quickly turning into the top 3. Raid, look at the car dancing on the edge of adhesion. He can see what's happening. He's incredibly keen to get up with these two while they're fighting for position. Give Stefan Zero something extra to think about. A half-measure overtake from Stefan Zero will open the door, and Aston Martin shake door for Marcus Raid to waltz right through and take the fight for the race victory to these 2 cars. Stefan Zero looking once again on the outside of the chicane, trying to force Mark Whitford onto the curbing. He doesn't do that. Whitford now has had 9 laps of that excitement to contend with. He knows what is in the kit bag of Stefan Zero for this overtake. Slipstream here, dangerous but not too worrying. There's a very small braking zone into T1. The corner is called T1 by the way, so perhaps I don't know the name. T1 and T2 at Suzuka off. First corner, should I say. Very dramatic name, but I dare you to forget that one. Daniel Wurzberger, meanwhile, remember our championship contender. Daniel Wurzberger was in 4th position, jumps down pit road, so the second of the championship contenders to come and make a pit stop. Remember, the other championship contender even, Wagner in the Porsche, currently 13th on circuit. This will be critical for Wurzberger now. He'll want to clear that Porsche, give plenty of clean air between the 2 cars, but Wurzberger can use the opportunity in the space to push the car, to try and get lap time out of the Honda. But Wagner has overtaken Wurzberger on pit road, so pit road looks like Wurzberger is going for a full service or a part service, changing tyres, adding fuel. I fear that's a mistake for Daniel Wurzberger, and he may live to regret that one. He's plummeting down the order now. Wagner way up the road. So Daniel Wurzberger, ladies and gentlemen, unless something dramatic happens or I have completely misread this race, I fear has just taken himself out of championship contention, making this a championship fight of 2. Martin Ulrich, who we spoke about earlier, does what he normally does. He's invisible, and the next time you look at him, he's in a good position. And that position is 4th at this moment in time. Ulrich, championship leader, in the pound seats at the moment. Wagner, 11th place, but with a pit stop to his name, is running in 11th. 2 drivers who really do not care about that at this moment in time, with Mark Whitford, Stefan Zero, P1, P2. Raid in 3rd position. Ulrich, as we say, not had a pit stop yet, and I believe actually Raid has jumped down pit road. So Raid thinking, I don't want a part of this one. I've got more lap time than you two. You can squabble to your heart's content at the front. I'm going to take my service now, get back out again. I think there's some clean air, and I'm going to push. Martin Ulrich. As I grab my first drink of the session, Martin Ulrich in 3rd position, under significant pressure from Marco Ripper in the BMW behind. I'm not seeing much of Ulrich at the moment. He's quietly gone about his business and worked his way up the championship running order. Daniel Wurzberger, meanwhile, has come out a disastrous 15th, so Wurzberger elected to take on fuel and or tyres, where apparently the rivals around him haven't done. This is a high-speed circuit, a high-velocity circuit, plenty of corners of different radius and variance, but it's incredibly smooth. The Japanese racetrack is a smooth racing surface, so it doesn't really take much life out of the tyres on these GT3 cars. As Whitford, defensive in the hairpin, Zero behind, sees what's happening, tries to cut back. Whitford does a block on the racing line. Fantastic bit of driving there for Whitford. He knew he'd got in deep. He knew it was under pressure. Slow the car down on the apex. Make the car behind you have to get on the brakes rather than where he wants to be, which is on the throttle. And Whitford once again survives another fearsome attack from Stefan Zero ahead. What these 2 drivers are going to do in terms of race strategy, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely fascinating. Whitford will want to try and get down pit road at the same time as Zero, because he knows, all things being equal, Zero's got a little bit more lap time in that Lexus than the Aston Martin ahead. He can ill afford to stay on the racetrack at the time. Zero is in pit road as Martin Ulrich makes his first mistake of the race. That opens the door to Marco Ripper. Ripper's not a man to give away a gift lightly. Uses the BMW, the width of the BMW, the compliance over the curb to try and get an unlikely outside overtaking manoeuvre at the chicane. He's not worried though, he's got the outside line. The BMW has got plenty of grunt in a straight line. Martin Ulrich on the defensive, has the inside into the first corner. Marco Ripper decides he's having this one come what may, sticks to the outside, avoids the marbles, keeps on the racing line. The cars are too wide. Fantastic driving from both of these drivers, but Ripper eventually gives up the ghost on that one, just leaves his car loitering on the inside to the snake. Decides better of it. What a fantastic piece of race driving from both of these drivers. Awareness, respect and class, which is exactly what we've seen all season in the IGCTC Silver Series. These drivers, they're not pros, they're not professional paid drivers, they're not streamers that do this day in, day out. These are bread and butter community drivers, enjoy sim racing just like you and I, enjoy putting the time in, putting the practice in and having this sort of quality racing, and that is the definition of quality racing that we've seen. But this time Marco Ripper's looking at the inside, a little bit too far behind. You see how the brake bias is geared towards the rear of that BMW, the rear axle's locking. Ripper's having to do corrective action, not losing in lap time, but it's just a different driving technique, it's a different setup technique, and Ripper will be doing that to use the rear locking axle to help pivot the car more than just the grip the tyres will give him. He'll look to let the rear of the car steer almost, get the car in a straight line earlier than it would normally do, so he can get on the throttle and use that thirsty but powerful V8 BMW engine to power him down the corner exits and the straights, and he's using that to good effect at the moment. Martin Ulrich doing everything he can to defend, but while these two are fighting, the gap to the race lead is extending because they're concentrating on each other and not concentrating on getting to the checkered flag faster as they possibly can. Mark Whitford has nothing to concentrate on apart from the headlights of the Lexus behind. A late look from Stefan Zero. We've seen that one many times before, and Marcus Ripper's actually given the ghost of that fight up and decided to jump down pit road. Traditionally, we see a lot of drivers in and around the halfway mark in these 60-minute races coming in to pit road. So Ripper decided he's had enough of that one. He feels like he's got more speed than Ulrich ahead of him, but doesn't want to take the chance and the risk to fight to hemorrhage lap time when you're fighting another car. He gets down pit road. He's been in there quite a while, so again, one would assume he's taking on fuel and tyres, which is an interesting strategy. The man, I know he doesn't actually, I correct myself as we go. Ripper's back out on the racetrack now, so he'll have done the minimum compliance he needs to get out on pit road. And look how different that complexion of his race is. Ripper comes out 8th position. He started off behind Wurzburger. Wurzburger came down pit road, could only, we assume, did a full service, and he's come out now last on the track. 15 cars left in this motor race, and Daniel Wurzburger, one of our championship contenders, let's not forget, is 15th in the field. The other championship contender is Wagner in the Porsche, one of only 2 Porsches remaining in this race. He's been down pit road. He's 11th on the track, but 1, 2, 3, 4th in the running order of those that have made a pit stop. Of the pit stop drivers, Gader, who we saw a little bit earlier on, very quality qualifying position up in the top 6. Not seen much of him this season, I must admit, but Tobias Gader in the Lexus is the leader of our currently having had been down pit road drivers. But ladies and gentlemen, that's a sentence, if ever there was one, that makes no sense, but hopefully you can understand what I'm getting at. So Tobias Gader is currently our front runner of the cars that have made the stop. Now, Whitford ahead has got enough gap. My quick mental mass, which basically is not mental mass, it's just me making a blind guess and passing it off as fact, has probably got enough distance between himself and Gader's Lexus to come back out on track after a stop ahead. So Whitford is in effect, the real race leader and also the practical race leader once the pit stop cycle works through. He's now got the biggest gap we've basically seen since this race started. How glorious, or wonderful, or practically palatial 6/10 of a second ahead of Stefan Zero. I'm not sure exactly what's happened, whether he's found more lap time, whether Zero has made a mistake and dropped back, or even it could be a strategic thing. And Stefan Zero decided to step back a little bit, let the car cool down, let the tyres cool down, more importantly, let himself cool down. Reassess. Zero knows he's got more lap time. Zero knows he can close that almost 1 second gap up to Mark Whitford at will. So what is he doing? Is he playing mind games? Is he letting Whitford think he's got a little bit of breathing room and then just crushing in lap time? Whitford will see on his heads-up display, on his monitor, and also on the dash cam in the cockpit of that Aston Martin. He'll see his rival's lap times. He will see how Stefan Zero has gone from almost a second to practically the rear wing of the Aston Martin in the space of 1 lap. Look at this now. Stefan Zero back down to 4/10 of a second. So Zero will get to halfway point in this motor race. Stefan Zero has got lap time to spare. He's playing games with Whitford now. 7:40 p.m. in-game time. The track's getting dark. The temperature, the track circuit temperature has dropped to a positively freezing 18 degrees. We've got a negligible 2-mile-per-hour wind. It's all about the performance on the racetrack now, and Stefan Zero has got lap time to spare in that Lexus. This will be demoralising for Mark Whitford. The only course of action the Aston Martin realistically has got now is to shadow the Lexus behind him. He needs, does Mark Whitford, to run as late into this race as he possibly can to minimise the damage of Zero having clean air and putting those lap times down. If Zero comes down pit road, Whitford must react and get down the pit road immediately after. Give Zero just an outlap in which to gain free running, in the hope that Zero will not get enough lap time to overtake the Aston Martin ahead. As we're watching now in the run, apologies if you can hear my beverage, it's slightly louder bottle than I hoped it would be. But Stefan Zero looking one way, then the other, into the hairpin, almost kisses the back of the Aston Martin, the mid-corner speed into the hairpin, and the corner exit speed of the Aston Martin and Mark Whitford is much slower than the Lexus ahead. The Lexus looking on the inside now. This is the best opportunity possible. The inside turns to the outside. Whitford knows exactly what's happening. Zero doesn't have enough front end grip to slip the car back up the inside for the second part of the corner. So Whitford doing everything he needs to do to keep that Aston Martin as wide as you'll ever see. An Aston Martin V8 Vantage going a little bit defensive, trying to break the slipstream into 130R. Zero's a little bit further back now, which is actually the ideal positioning to keep his foot in through 130R. Coming into the chicane, trying to get, he's not overtaking there, folks. What he's doing is trying to get a wider arc into the corner to give him a better corner exit. He knows this short start finish straight into the first corner is one of the opportunities where his car is quicker than that of Mark Whitford behind. The braking zone is minimal. The corner entry is committed. It's difficult to get alongside. You're not going to get alongside in the braking zone, but if you can get an overlap on the car, you can force it so Whitford does not have the space to turn the car in. He has to concede the corners. But Stefan Zero's not quite managed to achieve that one. We see Keller down in 13th position, carrying a 20-second time penalty. That would have been awarded by our stewards for some kind of fair or foul behaviour on the track. Keller, 13th place, but with 20 seconds to be added to his time at the checkered flag in 26 minutes and 53 seconds time. Meanwhile, Mark Whitford has got a big, fat, stinking bucketful of pressure from Stefan Zero behind and merely laughs in the face of the challenge from Stefan Zero's number 42 Lexus. Whitford has barely put a wheel out of place so far in this race. I hope That's not commentator's curse. And Stefan Zero again. Look at the different lines of the two cars. Very different cars, these two, very different design principles. Whitford goes to the outside, which will become the inside for the next corner. It's early on the defensive, but Zero's got more of an overlap than we saw last time. He keeps the car around the outside. Will he find space? Whitford gives him space. Zero has the car on the inside, outside, should I say, sorry, curb. That unsettles the car. That slows the car down on corner exit. And Mark Whitford just about retains position for another few corners time, but Stefan Zero now absolutely smells this one. Whitford again defensive in a 130 yard. There's a scary stuff to go too wide into 130 yard. Stefan Zero acknowledges the fact, comes down on the throttle, allows Whitford the room to continue around the corner into the chicane. The Aston Martin, we've seen a very stiffly sprung car, manages to soak up the curves a little bit better. This time Zero's got not quite as close as we've seen on previous laps, and Stefan Zero is trying everything he knows to find a way past this Aston Martin, and Mark Whitford is equal to everything that Stefan Zero has to throw at him. Meanwhile, the Super One, the guy that nobody ever notices until he picks up the silverware, Martin Ulrich, is currently in third position ahead of Rosschek. Mollier's worked his way up through pit stop cycles into fifth, Engman sixth, Kinsler in 7th, Gida in 8th position, the front runner of drivers that have been down pit road, Marcus Reid in 9th, Marco Ripper in the BMW 10th, Wagner in the Porsche having a nightmare in 11th position, Graves currently at 12th, Keller with his 20-second penalty hanging over his head in the Ferrari 13th place, Sade in 14th, and our personally my under the hat, keeping it to myself, I thought Wurzburger would be a good bet for Championship Challenge this weekend, is 15th position in the Honda NSX. So Wurzburger very much out of contention. He's 2 seconds in arrears of Sardi ahead of him. So Sergio Sauda in the Lamborghini, sorry, a very difficult car. Probably not quite as well suited to the Suzuka circuit as some of the other tracks, is now 2 seconds ahead, or 7/10 in fact, as they cross the timing beam once again. So Wurzburger trying to make ground up, but I fear he's got too much to do and too little time in which to do it, as Mark Whitford once again for the 18th time comes round the 130R, 13OR, whatever you want to call it, corner into the chicane where Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost came to blows in 1989, and Whitford has a better fist of it than those two world champions, as Mark Whitford decides enough is enough. He's going to head down pit road with 23.5 minutes remaining. Stefan Zero inherits race lead. We've seen up to this point, Stefan Zero appears to have more lap pace in that Lexus. Has he got enough tyres left under the car? Can he get the hammer to the floor? Can he put in the all-important lap times that will allow him to come out once the pit stop cycle are complete? Will it do enough to allow him to come out ahead of Mark Whitford? And importantly, if he does, has Whitford got enough inside him to be able to take the fight to Stefan Zero? We will find the answers out to these questions in a few moments' time. Now, what does Zero do? Does he push, stay on the track as long as he can, make as late as possible pit stop, or does he react to Whitford ahead of him and come down pit road on the next lap? If I was in the Lexus, if I was in the Tech 1 Racing Lexus RCF GT3 for Stefan Zero now, I'd be minded to keep this car out on the track for at least another couple of laps. Let the natural speed that he's got around this circuit come to the fore. Remember, Stefan Zero was picked by less than a hair's breadth from Mark Whitford in qualification. Zero started second place. Whitford, a late last minute unbelievable lap time to take the provisional pole position. Whitford comes back out on the racetrack in 7th place as predicted. More luck than judgment from my point of view. From mathematics, Mark Whitford retains the first of people who have beat down pit road track position. 7th place on the grid. 5/10 on the circuit in front of Gainer. Marcus Reid, the man we're looking at now. Marcus Reid, who's 6th in the championship standings on 151 points, is 9th on track, but 3rd of those who have made a pit stop. Stefan Zero now will keep an eye on his lap times. Will he stop? Will he be able to keep some lap time in that car? The tyres are getting more warm. The fuel levels are going down, so it balances it out. Stefan Zero, an intelligent race driver, will have set his car up to perform stronger in the second part of the race, which we are very firmly in now. 7:48 p.m. in game time. It's getting dark. The lights are starting to be more than just a pretty thing. It's actually a visual aid for drivers to see where they're going. Marcus Rain, a man in the Aston Martin, the number 16 GT series. Aston Martin has broken the back of the challenge of Marco Ripper's BMW behind, so he's got almost a second to the good of the BMW. We know Ripper has got lap time. We know the car is fast in a straight line. Ripper will not have given up on this fight just yet. This is not a fight for 9th position. It is 9th position on track. But once the pit stop cycles, we've got England, Mollier, Roschek, potentially a little bit higher up the field than the ultimate lap pace would normally suggest. So when they come down pit road, those cars are going to drop. Kinsler as well in 6th, are going to drop further down the running order. That's going to promote Whitford, Gaynor, Reid, Ripper, Wagner, Graves and Wurzberger further up the running order. So this fight for 9th will be a fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th as Kinsler gets a drive-through penalty. That's not as big a penalty as it could be at some circuits. The pit lane is relatively short at Suzuka. Is relatively quick coming off the final chicane. Kinsler in a great 6th position will have to run through pit road to serve that time penalty, that drive-through penalty. That will not count towards his pit stop. Kinsler will still have to come back to pit road once again, take on a minimum of 1 litre of fuel to serve the requirements needed to complete this race and be classified at the checkered flag. So disaster for the number 13, unlucky for some. Number 13 Porsche of Kinsler is going to have to come down pit road not once but twice. So we're lucky there for Dominic Kinsler, 6th position at the moment, but that will open the door for the drivers behind to potentially make another position. Daniel Wurzberger being arguably one of the biggest beneficiaries of that one. Wurzberger not recovering as well as I would have expected from his earlier long pit stop. Again, not sure why Daniel Wurzberger in the NSX came down pit road and stopped for so long. Maybe he had an incident we didn't see, but Mark Whitford now. So our race leader up to this point before coming down pit road 2 laps ago, Mark Whitford comes out in currently 6th, should I say, in 6th position. The car you see behind him, this will be a recurring thing for Mark Whitford, the Lexus you see behind him is fighting for track position. That is Gaynor, who we saw stop really early, had a fantastic drive, actually stayed out of trouble, has Tobias Gaynor, shown some strong lap pace, some clever racecraft to find himself up to 2nd of runners, currently 7th on the grid. So Whitford come down pit road to avoid the attentions of one Lexus, come back out on the racetrack and found himself with an entirely other Lexus in which to fight. So Whitford will be sick and tired of seeing the Lexus RCI F at the end of this race, which is, just in case you wondered, the final round of the RCI IGTC Silver Series here at Racing Club International. If you're new to the series, if you're watching us for the very first time on YouTube, thank you very much for giving up your precious time to listen to me ramble on about some people driving pretending race cars and a virtually recreated racetrack. We do this most days, so give us a like and a subscribe at RCI TV if you will be so kind. Check us out, RCI TV on Twitch, as well as Stefan Zero comes down pit road, folks. I'll interrupt myself selling the virtues of RCI for a few moments time to watch this pit stop. Stefan Zero, race leader on track, was in 2nd position before Whitford came down pit road. Everything depends on this. We need a Mercedes-Benz Formula 1S speedy pit stop now for Stefan Zero. Whitford will be aware that he needs to push. He'll have a light car. He'll be refreshed after the pit stop. He won't have had new tyres on. He needs to find lap time that he hasn't previously had before. Zero, I don't think, has had traffic, but actually Whitford is now on start-finish straight as Zero comes down pit road. Has Mark Whitford got enough overlap into turn 1? No, he does not. Stefan Zero, ladies and gentlemen, takes the aggregate race lead once the pit stop strategies have all unravelled. Whitford did not have enough left in the lap time bank to overcome a very fast outlap, a very fast inlap, and 2 really quick laps from Stefan Zero. So the race lead, it may not have changed on track. Martin Ulrich is our track position race leader, but when everything's all said and done in the next 16 minutes, Stefan Zero is your new race leader. This is exactly what he needed to do. He's done the overcut. He knows he's had speed. What Zero needed to do, he has done. He's waited for Whitford to get out of the way. He's unleashed the natural pace of the car. Stefan Zero's tyres are a little bit colder by virtue of being slower and stationary on pit road. Mark Whitford's tyres are up to temperature. Whitford's mentality is up to temperature. He's been on the racetrack 3 or 4 laps longer than Stefan Zero ahead of him, and Whitford needs to take this advantage. While Zero's tyres and pressures and temperatures are all coming back into an optimal... oh no! Mark, shock of the race so far, Martin Ulrich, the man that I always say never makes a mistake, has got a drive-through penalty. Our championship leader has a drive-through penalty, currently leading the race with 15.5 minutes to go. Ulrich has not made a pit stop and will now have to go down pit road, serve that drive-through penalty. That opens the door to the Porsche of Michael Wagner, currently having a quiet race in 10th position. This is going to push Ulrich into the zone of Wagner, potentially even getting Wagner ahead of him. So Michael Wagner in the Porsche needs to push the Porsche. There's a rhyme there. Michael Wagner needs to push that Porsche as hard as he has pushed it all race long to try and find some advantage, to put as many cars between him and Zero as is humanly possible. Zero, the little tab next to his name has gone green. Don't be fooled. That is serving the drive-through penalty. Zero still has to come back down pit road and make his mandatory single pit stop in this race. So although he's 4th and Wagner is 10th, Zero will drop further down the running order. He's got 11 points advantage over Wagner. Wurzburger is basically in a GT4 race all on his own at the moment. He's well out of contention, so that is a championship fight solely between Zero and Wagner. Stefan Zero, sorry, not Zero, Wagner and Ulrich. Ulrich, 5th position now. He's gone back orange again to show that he's still got a pit stop to make, and that has promoted the Zero and Whitford fight. But now inverted, it is no longer Mark Whitford on the defensive, Stefan Zero on the attack. Roles are reversed. Whitford is the attacker. It is always easier as a racing driver to attack than it is to defend. It'll be very, very interesting. Whitford never put a foot wrong, never made a significant mistake when soaking up the pressure from Stefan Zero ahead. Can Mark Whitford turn this on its head? Can he free himself up, free his car up to charge onto the back of that Lexus ahead of him? I would suggest the gap is 0.6 of a second. Zero is not leaving Mark Whitford behind like I anticipated he would do when roles were reversed just a few laps ago. It's nearly 8 p.m. in-game time. The track temperature has dropped a further degree to 17 degrees. Things are changing, balances are changing. His advantage, Whitford now, as Martin Ulrich jumps down pit road to make his mandatory pit stop. Ulrich, the field running past Martin Ulrich in the number 41 Lexus. Let's keep an eye on the timing screens for Wagner. Will he overtake the Lexus? I suspect he will. Wagner will kick himself at the end of this race. He's had a scruffy, difficult, awkward race. The troubles for Ulrich would have been everything he needed to take this IGTC Silver Series Championship here at RCI. He has overtaken Ulrich. Ulrich is still on pit road, but Wagner is 19 seconds away from Ripper ahead of him. Engman, Roschek in 1-2 have still to stop. Tobias Daden we're looking at now. Great drive from Tobias. Stopped early, got his head down, did everything he needed to do, and now he's soaking up the pressure from Marcus Ray behind. 5th on track. Realistically, this is the fight for the final podium spot between the Stefan Zero, Mark Whitford battle that continues to rage ahead. Can Gator get his first podium position of the season. He's got 11 minutes and 42 seconds and all the pressure in the world from Marcus Reid, in which to soak up. Gator will be absolutely delighted no matter what happens from this point. Will be delighted with his race performance. He's shown speed, tenacity, racecraft, strategical intelligence, and most importantly, he's not making mistakes. He's not losing lap time to the cars around him. Some great driving so far for the GC Tech Racing 514 Lexus RCF GT3. Tobias Gator that we're watching on screen now is actually gapped. He's gapped Reid a little bit behind. Again, just to remind everybody, Rosschek and Engman, currently P1 and P2 on track, will have to make their mandatory pit stop, so they will drop down the running order. In championship chain, Wagner, 8th position after all the pit stop holidays are over. Ulrich in 11th place. So those two drivers' positions will swap a little bit as well again when pit stop orders run through the system, and that's going to make a tantalising prospect for the championship challenge. I actually don't know what the championship points awards are in this series because I'm not very good at researching things, so I'm going to say this as a bit of a hint to our man with the plan on cameras, Jake, to see if a little whisper he might hear can be added in the next 10 minutes to give us an idea as if that's enough for Wagner to take the championship at the end of this race. I fear it's not. 11 points is a significant gap. More bad things will have to happen to Ulrich in the final 10 minutes, I think, in order to get a big enough point spread for Wagner to take the title, but that's future stuff. Let's look at the present. The present is we are being treated to an incredible motor race. This, remember folks, is the final round of the IGTC Silver Series, round 5 of 5. We've visited some beautiful tracks, Spa-Francorchamps, Laguna Seca, we've been to the Nürburgring, I can't remember where else we've been, and now we are at, well, Bathurst, that's it, and now we're at Suzuka. So we've been to some of the finest racetracks in the world, intercontinental GT Challenge Series racetracks. Beautiful cars, beautiful tracks, amazing stewardship, outstanding camera work, and a wonderful audience have all made for what has been an incredible season. If you're new to RCI and RCI TV, thank you and welcome. There's more of this. We race almost every single day, live stream, broadcast, commentated races. Come join us on YouTube. But look at this now. This is Stefan Zero. Stefan Zero was the man that had all the lap time in the world that he couldn't release behind the back of the Aston Martin of Mark Whitford in front. The pit stops have played out. Whitford now finds himself as the chaser, not the chasee, and suddenly roles are reversed. Whitford seems like the man that has got the lap time ahead of Stefan Zero. Zero is holding on. He's third on track. That will be the race lead where the two cars ahead head down pit road. And Stefan Zero is the man under pressure. Mark Whitford wants this one. Whitford has been quick all season. He's had a fastest lap. He's had a podium. But for whatever reason, misfortune comes the driver's way. He wants to sign this season out with the ultimate prize, the trophy, the race winner, stand atop of the podium. And the only thing between Mark Whitford and that victory is this man, Stefan Zero, in the number 42 Tech 1 Racing Lexus. Whitford, look how hard he's going over the curb. The car's dancing, it's on its tippy toes. Whitford is closer than he's been all race. He's closed down that 8-second gap. He's now within striking distance of the Lexus ahead. He's better on the brakes into the hairpin. Whitford's doing exactly what Zero was doing before, taking a wide line, swooping. The Lexus is still stronger on corner exit. He's better still at putting the power down. That makes the job of Mark Whitford with the 86 Aston Martin all the more difficult. If you can't get a good run off the corner, you're giving away lap time on the straights. That's preventing you from running alongside into the braking zone and going too wide in the corner. So Mark Whitford has got absolutely everything to do, but he looks like a man going equal to the challenge. Stefan Zero, we've seen him be incredibly clean. The cars have run in close proximity. Pretty much, apart from 3 laps in the pit window, they've been separated by nothing. And Marcus Reid, another man under pressure in the final 7 minutes. Reid has got Marco Ripper in the 35 BMW behind him. It's getting night time now. BMW predominantly black, so it's hope the camouflage in the night sky, but it's got a little luminous yellow roof and stripes, so you're not going to miss that one. Plus the two big shiny things at the front, waving lights onto the back of the Aston Martin Ripper. Got the run, got the speed, shows the inside line. Marcus Raid in the Aston has left the door open into T1, very short braking zone. Raid stays around the outside. Ripper has got the inside line. A little bit of a kiss of the two cars trying to get into a space that is exactly as wide as two cars, but the man who wins through that one is the BMW of Marco Ripper. Showed the car up the inside, the space was left to him by Raid, and Ripper is now in 6th position, taking over that spot. 6th on track, will be 4th by the time the pit stop window, which is closing, well, it's not a window, but you know what I mean, opportunity to stop is coming to an end very, very soon. Great piece of driving from both drivers, as Stefan Zero again, it's acting like a pressure sponge, soaking up every bit of the pressure that Mark Whitford can throw his way in the final 6 minutes. 6 minutes, 2-minute lap time. We've got about 3 laps or so left in this race. 3 laps, a racetrack with arguably 2 good overtaking opportunities. So Mark Whitford has 6 realistic chances left in this final round of the IGTC Silver Series to find a way past Stefan Zero. Whatever happens, ladies and gentlemen, from this point onwards, these two have produced an exceptional show at the front of the field, and it will be a deserving winner irrespective of which of these two it is that takes the checkered flag. Faultless driving from both in attack, in defence, in track positioning, strategy, qualifying performances, everything these two could do to give themselves the ultimate advantage, they have done with a cherry on top. And now Stefan Zero can almost smell that checkered flag. The two leaders are still not being down pit road. They'll be leaving it till the very final lap of the race in which to make their mandatory stop, as Stefan Zero comes across the line, currently in 3rd position. He is separated by probably a half-decent tow road from your local auto provider of choicest length from Mark Whitford behind in the Aston Martin. These two have practically been as one for the duration of this 60-minute race. In 5th position, Tobias Gaynor, 6th, Marco Ripper, Marcus Raid 7th. Wagner, our championship 2nd place man coming into this race, holds 8th position at this moment in time. Mollier holds 9th, and Graves rounds up the top 10. Championship leader Martin Ulrich is 11th. Daniel Wurzberger, 12th position. Stefan Sarda in 13th, and Dominic Kinsler rounds out the running order in 14th, 6 laps behind the race leader, currently in pit road, potentially repairing some damage. Ross England lead the event, but Stefan Zero has still got everything to do in the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds of this race. He is not dropping Whitford. Whitford has found lap time from somewhere. Maybe he'd have been taking it easier and starting to flash his lights, trying to do everything he can to take Zero's attention away from what matters. That's placing his Lexus in the right part of the racetrack, braking at the right part, getting the car turning, catching the apex, not running wide, not attracting time penalties. Zero is doing all the basics he needs to keep that car pointed in the right direction, not attracting attention of the stewards. Behind him, Mark Whitford is giving his everything in the Aston Martin, flashing his lights, trying to put the car off ahead, coming to the left, to the right, fill up the mirrors of the Lexus, make Zero second guess as the Aston Martin gets a little bit squirrely coming out of the chicane. Great car control from Mark Whitford, loses a couple of tenths of a second, and once again gives away another overtaking opportunity into this T1 as our two race leaders drop down pit road. Stefan Zero, Mark Whitford, Tobias Gaynor, Marco Ripper, Marcus Raid promoted to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position on the racetrack. Wagner still looking to get past pit lane, will hope to inherit 6th position from the two cars currently on pit road. But meanwhile, Stefan Zero, Mark Whitford at the front of the field. Whitford knows his opportunity is coming to an end now. This is the penultimate lap of the race. Wagner meanwhile is just on the back of the two pit stop cars. Roschek 6th, England's come out 7th. Wagner
couple of seconds away. He really needs to clear those two cars to put more distance between himself and Martin Ulrich, our championship leader. But look at Mark Whitford. He's giving absolutely everything he's got now into the hairpin. Aston's better on the brakes. Not as good on acceleration though. Lexus ahead is really suited to corner exit, to straight line speed. That gives advantage to Stefan Zero on this, what I believe will be the penultimate lap of the race. Only 0.3 of a second cover these two cars, as it has done pretty much for the duration of this event. Stefan Zero will need to keep things nice and clean. Whitford looks for a dive up the inside, second part of the spoon corner. Whitford coming back from absolutely nowhere. That was never an overtaking manoeuvre, but he was hoping that Zero would panic, would come off the racing line, would give space where space was not needed. A great tactic. Did not work on this occasion, but Mark Whitford knows his opportunities are running out. He runs wide on 130R, trying to get the maximum run into the chicane. He knows this is the final lap is upcoming. It doesn't matter if you get a cut track penalty warning, it's worth the risk. Race victory is all that matters to Mark Whitford as we enter the final lap of the IGTC Silver Series final round on the Suzuka International Racetrack in Japan. Stefan Zero leads from Mark Whitford, Tobias Gader in third, Marcus Raid in fourth, Ripper in the BMW fifth, Wagner now up in the sixth position, so Marcus Wagner in the Porsche into sixth, Roschek Engman 7th, 8th, Mollier 9th, Raves 10th, and Martin Ulrich all the way down in 11th. So Wagner, from looking like a disastrous start to this race, has now put himself in the pole seats to take the championship lead. I've just been whispered in my ear that Wagner will score 10 points for 6. And if the race order finishes as it does, Ulrich will take the title by a single point. As we see Mark Whitford now trying to climb over, under, around. He's not bothered which way he does it. He just wants to do it and get past this Lexus ahead. Remember, folks, this is the final lap, the final race of the Silver Series. Mark Whitford wants this one. He's been quick, but he's been unlucky. He's not taken the ultimate prize so far this season. Stefan Zero has been incredibly talented. He's had pole, he's had podiums, but he's not taken a race victory either. So both drivers as desperate as you can be to get a big result in this final round. And as we say, Wagner, 6th position, 10 points. Ulrich stays 11th, is closing down Raves only 0.4 of a second. If the running order remains as it is, Ulrich will win the championship by a single point. Thank you very much indeed for the quick update on the point scoring system in my ear, good sir. And the checkered flag is getting ready. The man is stood on the podium with a flag in hand, looking for the cars coming through the chicane for the final time. Stefan Zero has done everything he needs to do to take race victory in the final round of the IGTC Silver Series Championship here from Suzuka. Mark Whitford in second position, gave everything he's got. Marcus Raid on the offensive in fourth position. The BMW behind of Ripper not quite got enough to take that place. Wagner crosses the line in a few moments' time in sixth position, but that's not enough to take the championship. Roschek, a fabulous performance. We're looking at Michael Wagner now in the Porsche. He's gone from looking like a disastrous race weekend to almost taking the ultimate prize. But at the end of the day, that wasn't quite enough. So a valiant effort from Wagner, but not quite enough to earn what he wanted, which was the IGTC Silver Series here at RCI. In seventh, a commendable performance from the Aston Martin 43 of Tobias Roschek. Engman crosses the line in 8th, Mollier 9th, Raves, and this man, your new IGTC Silver Series champion of this season, Martin Ulrich in the M Technology Lexus GT3. Martin Ulrich, 5 races, 5 exceptional performances, racecraft, intelligence, speed, performance, respect. Martin Ulrich is the RCI IGTC Silver Series champion in the final round by a single point. 1 point after 5 races, after 5 hours of competitive GT3 racing, with a drive-through penalty, with a qualification position outside of the top 8. Martin Ulrich has done
exactly what he needed to do to take the championship in commanding style as he pulls to the side of the road to get a refreshing libation from one of the marshals and have himself a little celebration on the way to pit road. Mark Whitford threw everything he had at this race. A fantastic performance, incredible end result for Whitford. Not quite the race victory he so desperately wants, but a commendable performance nevertheless. Stefan Zero crosses the line first. Tobias Gader gets on the podium in third position. Marcus Raid fourth. Marco Ripper in the BMW, an eventful fifth place. Marcus Wagner in sixth. Devon Sarda seventh. Raves eighth. Gader ninth. Stefan Zero, what? No, Stefan Zero is not 10th. Ulrich 11th. Wurzburger 12th. Mollier 13th. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been 60 exceptional minutes of motor racing. This has been RCI TV on YouTube. We would love it if you give us a like and a subscribe. We would really appreciate that one. This has been the IGTC Silver Series, won by Martin Ulrich after 5 rounds. We hold races almost daily, broadcast at RCI TV on Twitch and on YouTube. Join us. Come have some amazing racing at RCI with us. My heartfelt thanks to my fellow commentator that couldn't be here today, Mr. Jesse Lee. Been a pleasure sharing the virtual commentary box with you. My heartfelt thanks to Jake Boswell behind the cameras, showing these fantastic pictures, broadcasting to our audience. To the stewards that are doing live stewarding to ensure the on-track product is as sweet as it can be, and to all the boys and girls at Racing Club International. The fans watching at home, my sincerest of thanks. This has been RCI TV. You've been watching the IGTC Silver Series. My name's Paul Jeffrey, and until next time, bye-bye.